My name is Jason. That I was blessed with a loving wife and 4 kids, leading a peaceful and happy life. My wife and I met at the same college after dating since our student days. We got married at 24, and 23 years have passed. That I'm a truck driver and not often home, but whenever I return, the kids always greet me with, "Welcome back." That made me so happy and fond of them. I could work hard no matter how tough the job was. When I was younger, I worked to the brink for my family. Thanks to that, the kids went to college, and the eldest became a respectable working adult. That I'm very happy, but it's also deeply moving how lonely it feels when the kids leave the nest. That my wife, who had to raise the kids almost single-handedly because of my job, never complained and did her best. She even saw me off with the kids when I left for work. I am truly grateful and could never repay her. My family made even the busiest days happy. However, that happiness crumbled due to a certain event. Let's start with the story of Jake. The family of the owner and manager of my apartment also lived in the same complex. Their kid, Jake, was the same age as my youngest, Jimmy. Jimmy is shy, while Jake is a typical bully with a strong personality. It didn't seem like Jimmy was bullied, but he didn't like Jake. That I didn't interact much with the neighbors, so I didn't know much about Jake. But Jimmy told me about him when he was in elementary school. "He looks so much like me, it's like we could be twins," Jimmy said. That time, I thought I'd like to see him someday, but I never did since I left all school events to my wife. About 10 years later, the following is one of the recent events. When I returned from work, by chance, my eldest son, Simon, was at home.
Hey, Dad, tired? How far did you go this time?
"I went to Santa Fe. I brought back Frito pie. Want to try it together?"
What's Frito pie?
It's a delicious casserole filled with seasoned beef, topped with lots of cheese, and of course, Fritos corn chips.
Is it good?
"You'll know once you try it. Let me introduce my kids. First, the only one living alone, my eldest son Simon. He's in his second year working at an IT company. My second son, Oscar, is in college studying civil law. My daughter, Heather, is a freshman in college. She's enjoying college life and recently busy with part-time jobs. Heather wasn't home that day because of one of her part-time jobs. Lastly, my third son, Jimmy. He just started high school and is still shy and timid, wanting to toughen up. He's recently taken up weight training. I'll skip their personalities as you'll understand them through the events to come. Continuing from earlier, after we all gathered around the dining table, I took Simon to the station. Then Oscar and Jimmy also got in the car, which made me think, the brothers get along, but they never went to see anyone off at the station before. That moment, I just thought, maybe they're feeling lonely since it's been a while. It's about a 15-minute drive from our house to the station, and during the ride, Simon dropped a bombshell. Sitting in the passenger seat, he said,
Dad, there's something I want to talk about.
"What is it?"
I've already told Jimmy and the others.
"Yeah. Spit it out, don't beat around the bush." Seeing Simon struggle to speak, I had a bad feeling, but he continued.
Mom might be cheating.
"What?"
I saw her entering a love hotel with a guy who looks just like Jimmy after a drinking party. It was definitely her, wearing her usual jacket and shoes.
My head went blank, and time seemed to stop. Thank goodness for the red light. "Come on, stop joking. Were you just drunk?"
No. You know I have a good eye for detail, right? Dad, what Simon's saying is true. I saw it too.
"Is that so?" Simon invited me out for more drinks, and while we were looking for a place, we saw Mom. I was sober, so there's no mistake. Oscar, sitting in the back seat, joined the conversation, insisting that Helen was cheating, that I was even more confused. Alright, you guys saw Mom cheating. We'll check if that's true later, but why did you tell Jimmy?
Jimmy just happened to overhear our conversation at home. We didn't think anyone was home, but Jimmy was there. We didn't mean for him to hear. It wasn't on purpose.
Jimmy said apologetically, and all I could respond with was, I see. If Helen was indeed cheating, what should I do then? In dramas, they often hire detectives for infidelity investigations, but is that what I should do? How much would that cost? While I was pondering, Oscar spoke up.
I can't forgive this. Cheating and affairs are the worst. I never thought Mom would be that kind of woman.
I was shocked by his resentful words.
Simon next to me had a "give me a break" look on his face.
It wasn't a surprise. Oscar has always had a strong sense of justice and never tolerates wrongdoing or injustice. He once didn't speak to a guy for a week just because he crossed on a red light.
Dad, we can't forgive Mom if she's really cheating. So, Simon and I made a decision.
What is it?
We, the brothers, are forming the Mom's Affair Investigation Squad.
What?
We'll gather evidence to prove if Mom is really cheating. Then, Dad, you can decide whether to divorce her based on that.
The word divorce made me flinch. Hey, divorce. You can't just spring that on me.
Sure, you're still skeptical. But Simon and I are disillusioned with Mom after seeing that scene. Smiling and linking arms with a man that's not you, Dad. I didn't want to see Mom like that. Whether you divorce her is up to you, Dad, but please decide after looking at the evidence we collect. By the way, Heather and I are also part of the squad.
You told Heather too. Jimmy seemed almost excited about the situation, and I felt completely left behind by the sudden developments that I was lost in thought, wondering what would happen next. More than that, I couldn't hide my turmoil after being told that Helen might be cheating. That a month later, one evening after work, I was called to Simon's apartment that I had a key to Simon's place, so when I entered, all the kids were gathered.
Welcome back, Dad. We've been waiting for you, Dad.
Welcome home, Daddy.
Dad, do something about these drunkards. I was fed up with everyone drinking except Jimmy. Hey, aren't you guys forgetting that Heather is underage?
Just one more year, so it's safe.
We gave her non-alcoholic drinks, but she believes it's alcohol and is acting drunk.
Oscar, are you okay with your sister being like this?
Can't help it, alcohol tastes good.
Seeing Oscar, red-faced and claiming to be Mr. Righteous, I realized there was nothing I could do and decided to get to the main point. So, did you call me here to join your drinking party?
No. Today is the day we present the results of the Mom's Affair Investigation Squad.
As he said this, Oscar staggered to his feet and pulled out several photos from his bag.
As the representative of the unemployed, I've been tailing Mom and playing paparazzi.
Why are you speaking so formally?
What about your job hunt? If I become a journalist in the future, this counts as job hunting.
While I was amazed at Oscar's positivity, I sipped on my non-alcoholic beer.
According to Paparazzi Oscar, it seems certain that Mom is cheating. Please look at these photos.
The photos Oscar presented indeed showed Helen holding hands with an unknown man. Seeing Helen's happy face for the first time in a while, my heart made an unpleasant sound.
These are photos of Mom dating some guy during the day. After staking out, it turns out Mom goes out with him during the hours when we're not around. There were days we couldn't stake out, so it's not confirmed, but it seems they met about 3 times a week. And you'll recognize the other guy, I think, but it was the same guy we saw that night. It's true. That guy who looks just like Jimmy.
Me. Jimmy looked closely at the photos, but I threw out the question I had been thinking. Wait, are you guys seeing these photos for the first time too?
Simon said, it's a surprise for Dad, so he wouldn't show us.
I'm seeing them for the first time too, and they're too far to make out clearly. You're a lousy paparazzi, Oscar. Maybe you should be fired, huh?
Shut up, underage drinker.
While Heather and the others were chatting, Jimmy suddenly exclaimed, "Ah," and all eyes turned to him. "What's up, Jimmy?"
Did you notice something?
"This guy, it's Jake's dad." The word Jake brought back old memories. "That guy who looks just like you."
Yeah, that bully boy. When I glared at him, he shut up like a little kid. What are you doing, man? I'm a hero who doesn't tolerate evil.
As we were talking, Heather chimed in.
But aren't we forgetting something important?
Something important.
Jake's dad means he's the manager of the apartment complex we live in, right? His name is Mike, I think.
What, really? The men were surprised. It seemed only Heather knew.
Yeah. He's supposed to be the owner too. Why am I the only one who knows this?
Why do you know that?
I greet him normally. I get that Dad is busy with work, but how do you guys not know after living there for over 20 years?
Well,
The men chuckled awkwardly as Heather called them socially inept.
The revelation that the apartment complex owner was involved threw me into even more confusion that my wife was cheating with a man I didn't know. This fact alone was heartbreaking, but I never imagined it would be someone so close to us. How long had the affair been going on? When I shared this with the kids, they responded, "That makes sense."
being in the same building, it wouldn't be strange for them to have that kind of relationship at any time.
Wait, do we need to know how long it's been going on?
Of course, we do. What if it's been going on since you guys moved into the apartment?
Simon was born after we moved in, so it's been over 20 years.
Over 20 years is just too much. Though, a year or even a day is bad enough. Well, it's certain before Jimmy was born, right?
Huh?
Because Jimmy, you look just like that guy. Now that we know about Mom's affair, there's a high chance you're that man's kid.
Wait, so I'm not Dad's son? Stunned, Jimmy heard me say, "Even if we're not blood related, you're still my son," and he cried with joy that it's still not confirmed, but seeing Oscar and the others so sure made me feel it too. Honestly, I'm shocked because I always thought they were my own kids, but I knew I couldn't fall apart in front of my children that they're all acting strong, but they must be shocked that they're all trying hard, so I need to think about what to do next.
That's when Simon had a eureka moment. Right, we should just get a DNA test.
A DNA test, between Jimmy and me?
No, all of us with Dad.
What?
Ah, I see. If there's no biological relationship with Dad, then probably all of us are that man's kids. We ourselves would be the strongest evidence.
Simon's suggestion was out of the blue, but it seemed like a good idea. That it's already shocking to know one of them weren't my kid, but if none of them were my kids, that thought alone was chilling, and I knew I couldn't forgive that. Looking back, I never calculated when they could have been conceived, and the 3 older kids all look like Helen, not much like me. Jimmy doesn't look like me at all. So it's probably certain that we discussed further and decided to get a DNA test. 2 weeks later, we were to check the results at Simon's place. The results were the worst possible. none of the 4 kids were biologically related to me, that I thought it was a lie, a dream even. Naturally, everyone was shocked, and we all fell silent. Then Heather said softly,
Why? I love both Dad and Mom. Why did Mom do something so terrible? I can't forgive her, I really can't.
Seeing Heather cry, I decided I couldn't forgive Helen and resolved to divorce her, but not just any divorce. That I wanted a divorce that would make her suffer for hurting my precious children. The shocking revelation that all 4 kids were not mine made me vow revenge on Helen. That we then quietly planned our revenge and waited for the right moment. Our revenge had to involve all of us, because it wouldn't mean anything if even one was missing. So we all took a day off, leaving the house empty on purpose. Making sure Helen was alone. That we lied about work or drinking parties, and even if we were actually off, we didn't tell Helen, coordinating our schedules meticulously. We were prepared for a long battle, since we only had about 2 chances a month, but surprisingly, an opportunity came within 2 months. Paparazzi Oscar witnessed Helen bringing Mike into the house. Upon his report, I urgently called the kids home.
Did everyone bring what's needed?
Do we really need Oscar's microphone?
No, we need the microphone.
We whispered in front of the familiar entrance, quietly waiting for the right time. That we decided not to barge in immediately, but to wait a while before entering. The reason was simple, that we wanted to interrupt them when they were at their most passionate. Simon, the proposer, was trying hard to listen to the sounds inside by pressing his ear against the door.
I hate the idea of hearing Mom's voice like that, but I'm kinda curious.
You could just ask Dad, you know.
Seriously, stop. After about 30 minutes had passed, we used the key to burst inside. Heading straight to the bedroom, which also serves as Helen's room, we found Mike and Helen naked on the bed.
What the hell, you guys?
Wait, why is everyone here?
The 2 screamed in panic. They were, of all places, on the bed I also sleep in, and the evidence of their deed was scattered all around. The moment I saw it, something inside me snapped. Before I knew it, I had delivered a solid punch to both Helen and her lover. Mike fell off the bed due to the force, and Helen started bleeding from her nose, leaving spots on the sheets. I'll have Helen wash these later. I remember thinking that I was about to continue hitting Mike, who was trying to get up. Then Jimmy intervened. That he must have decided it was getting too dangerous.
Stop. I'm sorry, Jason, it was my fault. Please, just stop.
Oh, and what exactly did you do wrong, dear wife?
Huh? What are you doing with that microphone, Oscar? Stop messing around.
Confused, Helen knocked the microphone out of Oscar's hand. Taking over for Oscar, Simon questioned Helen.
So, what do you think you did wrong, Mom? Cheating? Or maybe, that none of us are actually Dad's biological kids?
How did you?
I wonder how. Simon snapping photos, Oscar conducting the interview, Heather recording, and Jimmy just looking appalled. I made it easier for them by tossing Mike back onto the bed. Between my sturdy build and Mike's slender frame, I easily threw him. You knew about this, didn't you?
Well,
No way you didn't know, come on.
Eek.
How does it feel, having 5 of your own kids in one building? Happy? Superior? Tell me, the poor guy who's been cuckolded for 20 years.
I'm sorry. I truly didn't know. I mean, I knew Jimmy looked like Jake, but I never knew they were my kids.
Mike apologized, as his face was turning pale.
That's right, we didn't know. I just found out now that they're not Jason's kids.
Helen suddenly played dumb, even though she clearly knew before. And Mike's eyes were darting around too, they're obviously hiding something. Angered by their attitude, I forcefully dragged them both to the entrance.
Wait, where are you taking us?
Ouch. Dad, where are we going?
To their house, as planned. I'm showing Jenny both of them just like this. They're so annoying. The look on their faces as they paled was priceless that I was about to take them outside, but the kids, realizing it was too much, handed them clothes scattered around. Well, I hope the important parts were covered. They kept resisting, but once outside, they suddenly became quiet, probably embarrassed, thinking it was convenient. We headed to Mike's apartment on the first floor and rang the doorbell. Jenny, Mike's wife, opened the door, her face instantly turning to shock. What in the world is this? Why are my husband and Helen naked? We need to talk about that. Can we come in?
Sorry to barge in like this, Jenny. But this is something that involves your home too.
Sorry for the intrusion.
The apartment was far from the main street, but it wasn't completely devoid of passers-by. It's surprising we never ran into anyone in the building. In this bewildering situation, Jenny quickly led us into her home. As we entered the living room, there was Jake, idly playing video games. Understandably, Jake was shocked as he saw his father appear completely naked. Mike avoided making eye contact with Jake, ignoring the awkwardness. I presented the evidence before being bombarded with questions and explained Helen and Mike's affair. Jenny started crying midway, and both Mike and Helen fell silent, making the atmosphere utterly dismal. I was hoping for a more dramatic reaction. However, Jake broke the hellish silence.
This is too much. Is your family crazy? I knew Jimmy was a loser, but doing this to your own mom.
Excuse me.
No matter the affair, this is insane. Can't you forgive a little cheating? You're so narrow-minded.
At Jake's unbelievable words, everyone froze until Jimmy raised his voice. Stop messing around. The affair deeply hurt us brothers and Dad. You're the weird one.
What did you say?
As Jake stood up and approached Jimmy with a raised fist, sweat dripped down his forehead. But Jimmy easily caught Jake's fist and hit back. Jake crashed into the table, and the women screamed. Jimmy, who's shy but into weightlifting, had become as strong as me.
Way to go, Jimmy. Give him more.
Just don't kill him.
Realizing further action from Jimmy could be dangerous, I intervened. Anyway, I'm getting a divorce and will demand alimony from Helen. And from Mike, of course.
No, wait, I don't want a divorce. Please reconsider.
Alimony, why?
Helen's pleading disgusted me, so I kicked her away. We're done. You've betrayed me for 20 years. Did you enjoy it? Even if the kids weren't Mike's, you still betrayed me.
We were all shocked. To think none of us were related. How could you even think of doing something so vile?
As a woman, I'm appalled. I'll never forgive you.
I can't even see you as a mother anymore. Just seeing your face makes me nauseous.
Please, guys, don't abandon me.
I kicked Helen again into a corner. Then I asked Jenny about her plans.
Honestly, I was tired of Mike and Jake's domineering behavior. Knowing about the affair, I can't stay with him. I'm getting a divorce too. And though I'm a failed mother, I don't want custody.
Mike and Jake, turning pale, clung to her.
How are we supposed to live without you? Please, reconsider, Mom.
Thanks to the apartment I inherited from my parents, we had income while you stayed unemployed.
I'm truly grateful. Please reconsider, we'd be in trouble if you left.
You're strangers to me now. Leave, and take that cheating woman with you.
Frightened by Jenny's firm stance, Mike, Helen, and Jake left, and the chaos ended. Afterward, Helen and I divorced. The kids strongly wished for me to have custody. Helen resisted until the end, but the kids' wishes prevailed. The alimony from Helen and Mike was shared with the kids, and we're planning a family trip to Alaska with my share. Helen kept bothering us by coming to the house lately, so I had her parents take her in. She's now under their watch. Mike also got divorced and lives with Jake at his parents' house, forcing Jake to transfer into another high school. As a parent, I think Mike should work even though he's unemployed at the moment. Jenny now lives alone quietly in the apartment, and I visit her occasionally, worrying she might be lonely, which the kids seem to expect something from. What happens next, I don't know. After going through this big incident, I realized that if you have a precious family, you can always be the strongest.